Let's do this. Let's do this. Hello, people. Me again. Another beautiful day or night. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good. What? We talking about this Activision Blizzard deal again. Let me keep y'all posted on this one. Listen to this. This is about the Microsoft rivals. Listen to this. CMA talked to 6 Microsoft rivals about Activision deal. 3 say no, 2 say yes. Says here, the variety of potential respondents in this survey reflect just how far-reaching the deal will be to the tech industry at large, not just video games. The CMA has acquired feedback from 6 of Microsoft rivals to get their positions regarding the still pending acquisition of Activision Blizzard. King. Says here, as reported by Video Games Chronicle, the CMA started to publish summary of their survey Says here, of these competitors, out of the 6 entities, 3 claimed that the purchase would be harmful to the competition in the market. 2 claimed that they had no concern about the merger. 1 said that it was too early to tell. The CMA did not disclose who the respondents were, but we can make some smart guesses of who was involved. Game Ranks, you guys are funny. Says here, of course, Sony was definitely one of the respondents as Microsoft chief rivals in the console video game hardware market. Sony has already expressed their dismay at the deal, so we know they are one of the 3 entities that call it harmful to the competition. Then it says Nintendo also certainly talked to by the CMA, while they are sometimes considered a separate category or market from Sony and Microsoft. That statement is false. If you're in the video game industry, you are a competitor. This notion that Nintendo is not a competitor in the video game market is one of the biggest lies ever told. Anyway, says here, they of course continue to make hardware for their games as they have for the past 50 years. Nintendo only public statement in relations to the deal so far has been that they accepted Microsoft deal to publish Call of Duty games on their platform for 10 years, which brings the Wii U into the equation too. Anyway, says here, another possible respondent was Valve, a latecomer to the video game hardware space. It can be argued that their Steam Deck competes more directly to Sony, PlayStation, and Xbox than Nintendo platforms do. However, Valve has only just entered this market, so their impact on the industry has not yet been fully verified. Look, never underestimate your opponent in this competitive video game market. Valve is a competitor, okay? Anyway, says here, Valve also received a 10-year deal from Microsoft to receive Call of Duty games on their marketplace, Steam. Adding an added twist to their situation, Valve has stated that they don't need a deal because they trust the companies involved to continue bringing Call of Duty games to Steam. But interestingly, have not indicated any interest in getting those Call of Duty games to be Steam Deck compatible. Don't worry, Steam Deck will get it. Anyway, last among the potential respondents are Nvidia and Google. The 2 companies talked to the FTC about their objections to Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. Nvidia continues to run GeForce Now, and Google recently shuttered Stadia. Both are cloud gaming service that are currently compete with Microsoft Game Pass. Then it says, it's a strange situation for Google as they no longer have a service to defend, but also for Nvidia. Nvidia was told to remove their Activision Blizzard titles from their libraries as the company failed to make a proper deal with Activision Blizzard to offer those games after their GeForce Now service ended its beta. But that doesn't mean the companies can't chime in with regulators in regards to the deal. As we just reported, Sony actually recently met Microsoft in private. They presumably met to hash out a deal for Call of Duty. If that's the case, this update from the CMA may already be a few steps behind, as Microsoft and Activision may finally get approval for their deal. Well, this video game industry is very, very competitive, and you have to maintain your competitive edge in this competitive market. And Microsoft beat everybody to the punch with Game Pass, and they seized their opportunity with Activision Blizzard. Phil Spencer said it best. Sony and Nintendo is not. Phil Spencer said, "Sony and Nintendo is not our competitors." So what that, it wasn't a diss, but it was a wake-up call for Sony and Nintendo to stay alert. But what that means is that, Microsoft, they looked down the road and saw who their competitors were, meaning Amazon, Google, Nvidia, Tencent, or even Valve. So Microsoft got Game Pass up and running thanks to ZeniMax Bethesda, when they purchased them for $7.45. But Activision Blizzard now popped up on their radar, and when Activision Blizzard was going through their turmoil, nobody really cared. Nobody really cared until Microsoft dropped that 68.9 or $7 billion on them. That's when everybody started caring. Sony got distracted by Call of Duty, probably thinking that, the Activision Blizzard deal, the Activision Blizzard situation is gonna solve by itself, and that's where Microsoft come in. Microsoft saw that Sony had the rights to Call of Duty, and that expires in a couple of years. But they realized that they don't control Activision Blizzard, which is the bigger picture. So Microsoft beat the competition. They beat the competition to the punch, with Game Pass, and they really capitalized on Activision Blizzard. So, like they say in Call of Duty, Black Ops 4, first come, first serve. So this market is very competitive, and you have to maintain your competitive edge in this market. You have to. This notion that Nintendo is not a competitor is the biggest lie ever told in video games. Okay, Nintendo is a competitor to Sony and Microsoft. Okay, they compete because they always talking about their sales numbers when they have those quarterly earned meetings. They are competitors. Valve is a competitor too, and with Valve, like the saying goes, never underestimate your opponent. The Steam Deck is making noise right now, so video games run on CPU power, GPU power, and RAM. So Valve is making their presence felt in the video game industry with that Steam Deck. So never underestimate them. Valve have to stay competitive. You can see that by all the games the Steam Deck is getting, plus all the updates that they're getting. So they are competitors, man. So never underestimate them. But this market is very competitive, so you have to maintain your competitive edge. If Sony met with Microsoft, well, maybe they realized that if Sony met with Microsoft, maybe they realized that probably was like the right decision for them to do, but still, Nintendo on the other hand, they agreed to the contract, like the article said, a 10-year contract. So that brings the Wii U and the Switch into the picture about when it comes to Call of Duty. So Nintendo, they are competitors, man. They are competitors. So never buy into that notion that they are not. They're not competing. They are competing. Nvidia, they got big pockets too. You know, they compete. You know, just like Google got big pockets, but Google just closed down the Stadia. Then there's Amazon with the Luna. Amazon got big pockets, so Microsoft, they had to stay. They had to stay competitive, man, because there's some big tech companies with big pockets like them, so they had to maintain their competitive edge. I mean, what if Amazon would have bought Activision Blizzard before Microsoft? Think of that, you know. Or what if Tencent would have snuck in and bought Activision Blizzard? So this market is competitive, man. So you have to maintain your competitive edge, you know, and keep moving, you know. Microsoft saw the opportunity and seized it. So you know, I mean, their rivals can have opinions, but even their rivals know that Microsoft beat them to the punch with this. What if Google would have bought Activision Blizzard? Then the Stadia probably would still be around. You know, yeah, and you know, Google will be a force to deal with. So Microsoft had to do what they had to do, man. So yeah, this video game industry is competitive, and you have to stay on top of things, you know. To survive, you know. If you don't, then you might get swallowed up, you know. So yeah, they beat the competition to the punch with this. They really did, you know. And you know, we'll see what happens from there. What Sony got till what, March 1st to come up with paperwork. And if they meet with Microsoft, then that's going to be brought up in court too. So yeah, Microsoft really did this, man. They were moving. They were just like that. The market is competition. Competition is what drives the market, and you have to maintain that edge, man. You have to. They're all competitors, you know. They're all trying to maintain relevancy in this game industry. So they had to do what they had to do. So yeah, Nvidia is a competitor. Google is a competitor. Amazon is a competitor. You know, Tencent is a competitor. You know, this market is competitive. So the competition is just mad. I think the competition is just mad that Microsoft beat them to the punch with this, you know. I mean, and then you can like throw what's that? Sean's former PlayStation boss, Sean Layden. He was saying that Game Pass wasn't sustainable, but that all changed now when Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. You know, I mean, Game Pass was doing fine, but once that Activision popped up on the radar, man, it was just like a sense of urgency kicked in. Like, we got to do this now. We got to get them now, and they did. So yeah. But Microsoft got support in this, man. They got support in this. You know? But this market, man, is competitive. It's very competitive. Very competitive. You know? All these tech companies, they're all competing, you know. They're all competing, so you can't knock Microsoft, you know, for buying Activision Blizzard, you know. You know, Sony should have stepped in, you know. They should have. Nintendo should have stepped in too. You know, they're part of the game industry. They should have stepped in. They didn't. Sony didn't, you know. So Microsoft beat them and the competition to the punch to Activision Blizzard. So yeah. But yeah, we'll see what happened on March 1st, you know, when this whole when paperworks are due. Today is what, the 19th? So you got another how many days? How many days in February? 28. Got another what? 9 more? What? What? Another 10 more days? Yeah. So that's 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 28 days in February. So actually no. 10 more days. Yeah. 10 more days. So yeah. And a lot can change in 10 more days. You know, a lot. So we'll see. But Microsoft really beat everybody to the punch with this, man. They were on it. They were making moves all over the place. You know, they were making moves. As soon as Activision popped up on the radar, they jumped on it. You know, that's video games for you. That's the tech industry for you. Competition, man. You have to maintain that competitive edge. You have to. Yeah. And they did what they had to do, you know. And we'll see what happens between now and July, you know. But like I said, a lot can change within 10 days, you know. If Sony already meet with Microsoft, then they're gonna have to bring that up in court, you know. And yeah. All the stuff is due on the 1st, man. Turning March 1st, we'll see. We'll see what Sony do. But yeah, Microsoft is not backing down from this. They're not backing down one bit. You know, they built Game Pass. ZeniMax Bethesda agreed, you know, joined them. Once that happened, oh yeah, Game Pass now got some legs and it can grow. But now you add the Activision Blizzard to Game Pass now, yeah. And the good thing about it is that you know, Microsoft, you know, they're giving their rivals, you know, choices, you know, like a plan or something, like a 10-year plan or whatever, you know. So yeah, they weren't just gonna keep Call of Duty to themselves. They just beat everybody to the punch, man. That's all this comes down to. They beat every one of them to the punch. I mean, Sony and Nintendo got money to spend, man. They really do. They got money to spend. But Microsoft beat them to the punch. So yeah. The game industry is going to grow from this. It's going to grow. You know, just because you buy a studio or a company, the game industry don't stop. You know? It keeps growing. It keeps moving. So yeah, it's going to grow. It's going to grow from this. So, but this Activision Blizzard situation was on a first come first served basis, and people they had to act quickly, you know. They had to move, so they did what they had to do, you know. And I mean, they're the underdog in the video game world. I mean, console business, they're the underdogs, man. So yeah. So you're probably looking at some of you probably gonna ask Sony, like, what were you thinking? You're like, you know, how come you didn't jump at this, you know? So yeah, and Nintendo too. Like, how come you didn't jump at this? You know? Sure, you try to do your own thing, but if you see an opportunity, you know, you gotta seize it, you know. So yeah. But yeah, this video game industry is very, very, very competitive, man. Very competitive. So yeah, the way it goes. Anyway, leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Starship fan.